Oblivion Remastered is here. They shadow dropped it right in our faces, and now we have it. And while it's more of a remaster than a true remake,
you are the one from my dreams.
There is some stuff you haven't seen before in it. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanq's 10 new things players have discovered in Oblivion Remastered. Let's kick things off at number 10. There are new quests. Now, these come bundled with the deluxe edition of the game. They're not particularly hidden, but they are also easy to miss, I'll say. They don't pop up automatically. You do have to find them in order to play them, and they're both fairly elaborate. The two quests are a Wound in Time and a Burning Trail. They both give you some pretty awesome rewards for completing them. Even better, you can start them right at the beginning of the game if you want. To start a Wound in Time, look for a priest outside Kvatch named Ilyav Dragalner, which is definitely an Elder Scrolls-ass name. He sends you on a pretty straightforward quest. Just go through it, complete it, and after you're done, you can speak to him again about the equipment talking point to request a whole bunch of items from the Order armor set. The game only lets you take one at a time, but you're free to request and receive every single thing on this list. You just have to keep asking about equipment to do it. You basically pull a Chris Farley to Paul McCartney on this guy.
I think we've got time for one more question. Very well. Which category?
And that's how you get all the stuff. The second quest, Burning Trail, is a little trickier. It starts from a rumor in the Imperial City. You have to find a note left by the Mythic Dawn cult at the statue of Talos in Talos Plaza. And from there, you have to follow the breadcrumbs to notes and new locations until you find the person responsible for the whole thing. This one's tougher, but I'm not going to do a blow-by-blow rundown where you need to do this and go to that. Just look up what to do online if you're really curious. At the end of the quest, you unlock the ability to summon Mehrunes Harbinger, who you can talk to and get a selection of stuff from the Harbinger set.
With what do you want to cut down your foes? Take it, mortal.
It works exactly like the rewards from A Wound in Time, so just grab everything you want. It's not exactly something players discovered. I mean, it's advertised as part of the deluxe edition after all, but it's 2 new official quests in Oblivion, so it doesn't get a lot more new than that.
Only this relic would be powerful enough to pervert the laws of Mundus to this extent. You must retrieve it at all costs, hero.
At number 9, the Unmarked Cave is finally accessible, normally. The original version of the game, there's a random location called the Unmarked Cave. It's mysteriously locked. There's no way to get inside. The key needed to open the door did not exist in the base game. Even if there was an entire dungeon locked away behind it, there was. The speculation is the cave was meant as part of an unfinished quest. Well, the remaster doesn't bring back the quest. It does make it so you can just go in. You don't need console commands or patches that aren't official. The door is still locked. You just don't need a special key. You can just lockpick it like any other door and you're in. It's not a small location either. There's 3 separate segments, including the first area, just called the Unmarked Cave, and then the Unmarked Cave Mazeway, and ending in the Unmarked Cave Black Queen's Hall, which sounds pretty ominous, but there's not actually anything interesting there. It's mostly just an empty space with a few monsters. There's no real loot or anything rare or interesting to find, but what do you expect? It's an Oblivion dungeon. Most of them are pretty much that. At least you finally get to this place normally and see it yourself, even if the reality is kind of underwhelming compared to the mystery of the locked door. It's still exciting to finally get a chance to check this place out on console versions. At number 8, the local map is still here. You just have to zoom in. The local map from Oblivion, it's the same, but actually finding it isn't quite as intuitive as it used to be. The local map was pretty helpful, especially when you're exploring a dungeon. To do it, all you have to do is hold the stick down to get close to the map. It'll transition to the local map. Unlike the original game, it doesn't switch to local when you're in the interior block anymore, so it's kind of annoying that you have to zoom in every time to actually see the local map, but at least it's still there. I wouldn't have put it past them just cut it entirely. They did it when Starfield first came out, so what's to stop them here? It's all a false alarm, though. The map's still here. Functionality is the same. They could have updated it a little bit, maybe marked stores or important locations when you're in a town, but it seems like the dev team wanted to keep the remake as close to the original as possible, so the local map's the same, just a little more annoying to find and actually use. At number 7, the repairing bound weapons exploit's still in. For many longtime fans, the first thing they did when booting up the remaster was see if their beloved exploits were still in or if they got fixed. And to be clear, some old tricks like scroll duping did get fixed, but this one did not. In Oblivion, there are spells you can cast to summon temporary weapons into your hand. When the spell wears off, the weapon disappears. One minor improvement to the remaster is that you can holster bound weapons without them disappearing, and that's a good change. But with this exploit, you don't have to worry about that because the bound weapon just becomes a real weapon. The exploit works exactly the same as it used to. You'd take any bound weapon, then repair it using a weapon repair kit, and then drop it on the ground. I'm an adult! Now just wait for the bound weapon to expire and that's it. You're done. The weapon on the ground doesn't disappear and you're good to go. It worked in the original game and still works here. It's not the most powerful exploit, but it's an easy source of money that's a handy little trick. At number 6, there's headshots now. Another aspect of Skyrim that got backported into Oblivion is headshots. You do bonus damage for hitting enemies in the head with ranged weapons, and the difference is pretty significant. In the original version of the game, there's no location-based damage. Hit the head or an arm or a big toe, it didn't matter. Meant the same thing one way or the other. The damage was always identical. Now, a little careful timing actually does help, and it makes the stealth archer build significantly more effective also. Playing stealthy is still pretty difficult compared to Skyrim because enemies are real quick to notice you, but with the added damage multipliers, it's a handy strategy that you can actually use and, well, get the chance to use it for that matter.
Hey! Stop!
At number 5, paintbrushes now have gravity. RIP to a real one. One of the best exploits from the original Oblivion is no more here in the remaster. In the old game, paintbrushes had the unique property of having no gravity attached to them. So if you dropped one out of your inventory, it would just float in the air. If that's all it did, it would just be funny, not noteworthy, but paintbrushes are also solid objects that have bounding boxes around them, so you could position them very specifically, and then you could jump, and you could actually stand on them. Before the remaster, you could just drop paintbrushes and eventually make your own stairway to heaven. It was the most effective way to get out of bounds areas and perform sequence breaks, but more importantly, it was just fun. Climbing up into the sky on a trail of paintbrushes, an iconic exploit. It's a shame they decided to nuke it.
The bandits from Camp Hales.
Good to know.
Heard any news from the other provinces?
I have heard that the great houses of Morrowind...
At number 4, HP is now applied retroactively. We're getting into technical stuff here. So, in old Oblivion, the amount of HP you'd get on level up was affected by how high your endurance was before leveling up. So, essentially, you had to focus on increasing endurance and making it a major stat, because otherwise you'd have really low HP for the entire game. If you didn't focus on improving endurance early on, you'd be screwed in the late game fighting enemies with massive health pools while you barely had any HP. It was a flawed system that punished new players who didn't understand the weird way the game determined HP growth. In what can only be seen as a good change, the remaster makes it so all endurance health games are retroactive, meaning your health gains will be like if you increased it early on, even if you ended up waiting. It's a little confusing how it works exactly, but the big takeaway here is that players no longer have to make endurance a major stat because the growth will be the same no matter when you do it. You just don't have to focus on increasing your HP early in the game anymore because now late game gains are the same as early game ones. There are a few other reasons why this is less punishing. For one, you can increase stats that aren't selected as your major ones, so when you level up, you can allocate stats whenever you want, so no more need to grind out certain stats to get where you want. Now leveling just takes care of that. So overall, the Oblivion remaster is a little less annoying and fiddly when it comes to stat growth. Maybe that takes some of the depth out of the character building, but I'll take it over the nonsense that you used to kind of have to deal with when you started a new character. It's one aspect of the old game that, at least for us here at GameRanq, it's not going to be missed. It's pretty much unanimous here. Thank you, developers. Moving on to number 3, spell experience is now based on spell cost. It's another fairly technical change that you might not realize. In the old game, increasing your skill in various spell disciplines was pretty easy to exploit and also kind of annoying, because the only thing that determined how much experience you get from casting a spell was that spell's level prerequisite. So you could just cast cheaper but higher rank spells over and over again and increase your spell experience. It was easy, but it didn't make a lot of sense. In the remaster, they've changed it to a much more rational system. The more a spell costs to cast, the more experience you're going to get from it. So more powerful spells actually get you more experience finally, and I think that's how it should have been in the original. That means it's in your best interest to cast powerful spells to increase your skill level in the new version of the game. Incentivizes you, to develop. It's simple, but it's sensible, and I think it rewards experimentation and spell use, not just casting cheap basic level spells all the time because it was the most cost effective. The game now rewards and encourages you to cast more powerful and interesting spells.
Stop right there, criminal scum! Nobody breaks the law on my watch!
And number 2, stagger is no longer random. Like, you only fall over when you're blocking at 0 stamina. It was really aggravating in the original game, and it's thankfully gone and replaced with something that makes sense. It used to be that there was a random chance that just doing about anything in melee combat would cause you to crumple, like you're one of those fainting goats. Getting hit with heavy attacks, getting hit while blocking, attacking a blocking enemy, getting shot by an arrow, it would cause you to flop over like an idiot, leaving them open to getting pummeled by sword arms, and it sucked. It was annoying.
Show me what you got! Why won't you fall before me?
Increasing agility was supposed to improve your chances of not falling down, but didn't seem to help a lot, so playing melee in Oblivion was a huge pain in the ass a lot of the time. With the remaster, they completely removed stagger, except when you're blocking after completely running out of stamina. That's the only time you're ever getting knocked down anymore, and that seems fair to me. At point, it's kind of your own fault. There's got to be some kind of repercussion for trying to block while out of stamina, and getting knocked down is as good as any. It's little tweaks like this that make the combat in Oblivion Remaster feel a lot better. Even though it's essentially the same thing as the original, it just goes to show how a few minor tweaks here and there can make a actually pretty big difference.
Let's get this over with.
And number 1, grabbing is back. Yes, you can still grab physics-enabled objects in Oblivion, only now it works a lot more like in Skyrim. To grab, you now have to hold down the interact button while looking at an object, so yeah, exactly like Skyrim. So use it to decorate your house or make a mess out of someone's store, toss corpses around for your own amusement. It's a mechanically pointless feature, but it's an essential part of Bethesda games in terms of experience, so it would be a shame if they took it out. It's functionally identical to how it works in Skyrim, except it's missing one major feature. Objects you're holding no longer interact with NPCs. While you're grabbing them, they just clip through them. You can drop things on top of people and random objects and shove stuff around to amuse yourself, make a huge mess, but doing stuff like putting a bucket on someone's head so they can't see you stealing is just not possible anymore, which is fair. It wasn't possible in Oblivion either. The physics also feel a lot closer to how they worked in Skyrim too. There's weight to everything, and it makes dragging bodies around kind of a chore, but at least it's still doable. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter and put me on Cameo at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time right here on GameRanks.